Today we've got a crazy entitled parent that freaks out because they can't get a car ride. We'll get into that in a bit, but first, karma hits. My father called complaining about my brother about something he used to do to me. Several years ago, I lived with my father because housing market sucks, and I worked a pretty demanding job. When I was done, the last thing I wanted to do was cook. Well, when I'd often get off a shift, I'd come home to find that my dad ate my dinner, or I'd go to grab my lunch only to find that he'd eaten that. No matter how many times I'd tell him to stop, he still wouldn't, despite the fact that I never touched his food. What made me even more frustrated is that he would complain about the money I'd waste when I ordered food, despite me saying over and over that I would have food if you didn't eat it. Well, the other day he called me complaining that Tim, my brother, came home from his military tour and is now doing the exact same thing to my dad. I was like, that's crazy. It's like he doesn't respect nor care about the fact that you work a full-time job, and at the end of the day, all you want to do is relax, eat, and go to bed. The sarcasm was lost to my father, but the irony still has me giggling. I was praying that OP would have a tidbit in this story about pointing out how that was the exact same thing they were doing to OP. You know, kind of rubbing their face in the whole, doesn't feel very great, does it? Appropriate Bug 680 wrote, hilarious, and I actually went through something similar but with my little brother. Growing up, my little brother would inhale certain foods my mom would buy once in a while. For example, expensive cereal like Lucky Charms, anything Hostess, any candy, cookies, etc. He would eat it fast and sometimes eat it all the day we brought it home. I would maybe get a couple bites of the food, or none at all, and it was frustrating. I resorted to hiding food in my room, which led to my bro and mom getting upset with me and making fun of me for hoarding food. Cut to years later, my bro moved into his girlfriend's family's house. His girlfriend had a little brother going through puberty. My bro would call my mom all the time complaining that his girlfriend's little brother was eating all the food my bro bought. My mom and I had a good laugh on the phone about that karma. Also, hi, I'm Steven, and if you guys enjoy crazy stories of entitled parents, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons down below? That said, our next story is the audacity of me to suggest she should learn to drive herself. Last post was about my narcissistic foster mom dismissing my pregnancy with twins news. She still does it, but I wouldn't know. I blocked her. Just thought I'd like to share another story of how entitled these people can be. My narcissistic foster mom is retired. She has all the time in the world to do her shenanigans, this including her favorite activity, freaking wasting money on scammers like fortune tellers and mediums. She doesn't have a driver's license and is too good for public transportations. She doesn't like to walk in the heat, which I can understand, and would prefer to be driven around even if it's a 5-minute walk. My foster dad got into a car accident. He fainted after long hours of working each day. Otherwise, he would be her designated driver regardless of the hours. Despite him being at work, he'd have to do it too. Since he's in recovery, she's been bugging my cousin instead. My cousin had a day off from her hectic 6 days office working. It was her only one day off, so she'd like to spend time with her parents. I support this, and my narcissistic mom had called her, telling her to drive an hour to her and pick her up. My cousin, being nice and kind, asked her if it was an emergency, if anyone had to go to the doctor. Mind you, she lives an hour and 15 minutes away by driving. She'd have to take that time to drive to NMUM and then back to her house on her day off. No, it wasn't any emergency and it wasn't any doctor. NMUM had already made an appointment with some Buddhist monks for a fortune-telling session. It's also 2 hours away from them both. So, my cousin would have to drive an hour and 15 minutes to pick her up, another 2 hours to go to this stupid appointment with her, wait there for however long, and to drive back for 2 hours, and another hour and 15 to drive back home. My cousin has a hard time saying no to people. She tried to say no, but NMUM kept bugging her, bringing up how much she had spent on her while growing up, so she's obliged to drive her around. My uncle wasn't having it, and good for him really. He yelled at her on the phone to leave his daughter alone because it was her only day off, and to spend that amount of time just driving alone is ridiculous. No one has time for her crap. Long story short, she gave up. I don't know what she did after. I confronted her about this. She lied saying it's my aunt wanting to know my cousin's fortune and future. I called bull on that because of all the times she went to these stupid sessions. My aunt never had the care to come with. So I suggested to her that she should take up driving lessons and learn to drive herself. I see many old ladies where I live learning to drive when their husbands passed away or gotten sick. I suggested that, and she gave me the death stare, as if she was too good to learn to drive herself, that she was a princess that needed to be driven around, that everyone is beneath her and should do what she wants. You should have seen it. I've never seen anything like it. The entitlement and the audacity of believing people should do everything she wants to do just because she had helped them with money. Yes, in shorter words, she buys people with money. My cousin said Mom has no driving considerations, but she can learn. She just doesn't want to learn. It's ridiculous. For somebody so dependent on driving, if you get to the point where you're this older, narcissistic foster mom and you still don't know how to drive, I mean, really, I think that tells you all you need to know about them as a person. Rosaron wrote, "Sadly, these entitled princes and princesses get a rude wake-up call when people say no." Our next story is, my mom always wants me to apologize, never lets me get angry, never apologizes herself, always guilt trips me by bringing up my old mistakes. I have no life, I can't go out with friends, she controls everything I do for the benefit of my future. I'm turning 21. Whenever my mother and I disagree, I always listen to the other side, but she never lets me explain my side. She yells the moment something doesn't go her way and sends me to the basement to think if I show any attitude. Mind you, my attitude shows on my face, but I never raise my voice, and I always try to explain things properly. She'll find anything to pick on me, my hair, my clothing, my cosmetics, and I'm always ready, very conservative. She doesn't like my hair down. She guilts me into feeling selfish for needing new clothing when my old ones are literally too tight. I only wear a bit of mascara because then she'll say I'm superficial and shallow. I never ask for anything myself because then she'll start guilting me again. If I am ever right, she will always find something that I did wrong and expect me to apologize for it. She always makes me think about my mistakes, but she never sees how much she hurts me and other people in the family. I was a trouble kid in high school, not getting in trouble and stuff, just not very good grades and hiding it. So I understand her trust issues, but it's really too much. And I have improved so much and I was never a bad kid. I always did what she asked. I have no close friends. She tells me to make friends, but the moment I do, she gets angry saying I need to keep my priorities straight. I'm not doing too great in university, but I am improving my study habits. I don't have any friends or classmates I know because I'm not allowed to socialize. I'm on a co-op term right now. We know a neighbor and my mom asked them for a referral for me, which I am forever grateful for, but now she always uses that as a playing card to say I'm ungrateful if I ever disagree with her or get angry and upset. My mom has done so much and I am grateful for them all. She knows I am as well. I'm working hard to show her as well, but she has done so much to hurt me as well. She's been physically, verbally, and mentally abusive to me and to my dad before and during high school. I let it go because I knew I had a lot to learn. But now, I'm an adult and I'm more mature and can actually think for myself, and I'm realizing that something needs to change, but I don't know how to do it without being selfish or ungrateful. My dad just bears with it and doesn't argue back, but I can't do that and I don't think it's right. I wish he was more of a father by standing up for me and himself. My older sister is amazing. My mom definitely favors her, but she's always been there for me, stands up for me, and helps me understand things or supports me. But she's left the house and graduated and I'm so happy for her, and I hope I can do the same. Sorry for this huge rant, I'm just really lost. Really, I think OP at some point has to stop trying to work so hard to prove something to their mom or make their mom proud and focus on what they want and working for themselves. OP said it themselves, for their whole life they've been physically, verbally, and mentally abused by their own mom. Why continue to allow her to keep you in that bubble? Bookworm Trisha wrote, "Ask your relatives if you can move in with one of them. Perhaps your sister or a friend. Or contact a women's or domestic violence center, ask for help. You are being abused, you need to get out of there, away from your abuser." This next story is, do I have an entitled mother? Hi fellas, I'm here asking, do I have an entitled mother? Fair warning, this does turn into a vent. First things first, she pushes me to go to university for a redundant course that I can genuinely learn everything about outside of university, and avoid over 10,000 plus of debt by doing so. I had applied believing I wouldn't get in because of my poor grades at high school, but holy crap, I managed to get in the course. I tried going and I enjoyed it, but I became so violently ill after a few days that I had to stop. My mom followed this up by telling me that she's extremely disappointed and that I stole a spot that someone else could have taken. She continued to insult me about this and still is months later. In hindsight, I should have told her no from the start, but it's hard when everyone you look up to tells you that this is your destiny. Second of all, ever since I left school, she's been on me about my appearance and my room. She says that I need to shave my legs, go on birth control for my acne, that I need to use makeup, etc., etc. I used to be so body positive back then, but now I feel gross about myself. She says I need to eat? Fine, I get a second helping of dinner. Then she backtracks and says, oh, you're eating too much, you're going to get fat. I get concerned when I have complications related to birth control, but she still insists I need it. I stopped taking it and she berated me for this. When I brought my now ex-boyfriend over for the first time and I was talking to him, she sat herself across from us. Then, totally unprompted, told him how my room was disgusting, how I was disgusting, and tore into me while we sat there dumbfounded. The reason why he's an ex is a totally different story. Third, and the main reason I'm writing this, is that she does not care when I'm ill. The best example of this was recently, when I was genuinely so ill and pained I could not do anything. I was so weak and she didn't care. She told me that I was making her late for work. Context, we had shifts starting around the same time, and that I needed to get off of my butt and get ready. She saw me crying my eyes out, clutching my stomach, and started yelling at me more. You need to get dressed now. You need to go to work. If you go to work and they see you're ill, they'll send you home and at least you tried. She didn't even seem remotely concerned that I was crying, curled up and in pain. Eventually, she did go without me and I contacted work that I was unable to come in. Now talking about this today, she said that I was a little crap for being ill. When I tried to explain that I would be interacting with customers, she still said that I was in the wrong. Now, sorry for switching up the format, but I don't know how else to show this conversation taking fold. I said to her, I'm sorry, but I was not being a little crap that day. In fact, I thought I was being responsible by staying home while ill. I do not want anyone else getting sick because of me. Mom replied, oh really? You were only doing shelf stocking that day, you could have gone. I replied to her, yes, and I would be handling items that customers would be coming in contact with. Are you saying that you don't care if I'm touching products around the store that people will be purchasing while I was ill just because I'm not on registers? Mom then responded to me, yes, I am. I had to go to my room after she said that because that genuinely sounded so entitled to me. Now I'm sitting here typing this out. Now the question remains, do I have an entitled mother or am I just a little crap? If I am a little crap, I would like some advice how to not be. Thanks. I do think she's pretty clearly an entitled parent, narcissistic at least, but considering she's trying to get whatever she wants, that she's always right, I think it's pretty textbook. The only way I think OP could be considered a little crap is because the actual big crap birthed you. McDuchess wrote, she treats you very badly. Do you make enough at your job to move out? Because the only way that you can escape her narcissistic behavior is by getting away from her. The way she acted when you were sick is very telling. People like her hate the idea that someone other than them would get attention, or that any accommodations needed by them would somehow make their rightful place in the world somehow less. All her comments about your looks? She wants you to be less attractive, because she feels like everything is a competition, including with you. If you are young and beautiful, she can't be the prettiest one in the house, kind of like the wicked stepmother queen in Sleeping Beauty. She wants you to lose because she wants to always be the winner. Get out if you can. Our next story is, guess your kid got to see the penguins a lot closer than they were expecting. I got roped into a trip to the aquarium last weekend. The parent-to-child ratio was 1-to-1 before they invited me. And when you're in crowds, it's helpful to have extra hands and eyeballs. I don't like being in crowded places, but I feel like just consistently avoiding them doesn't do anything to ease the anxiety, and they needed the help. Plus, there would be free dinner at the end, and I'm a sucker for free dinner. Seeing as I wasn't actually anyone's parent, and the thought of losing track of someone else's child in the crowds at the aquarium was anxiety-inducing enough to make me breathe funny, I was left in charge of the stroller and everyone's coats. This eased my anxiety. Strollers are only self-propelled when going downhill, and they don't have minds of their own. Mostly. I swear it was the stroller that made it bump into my friend's ankles, was not me. 100% not operator error. My head was still on a swivel because I feel like there's never enough eyes out when you're dealing with toddlers and crowded places, and I witnessed stupidity the likes of which I hope I never see again in person. A toddler child of indeterminate gender was very upset that the wall around the open-air penguin enclosure was too tall to see over. The designers of the aquarium, having functional brains, put clear panels up every so often so the vertically challenged can still see the penguins. Kid starts kicking up a fuss and the kid's parents move over to where there's a clear plastic panel for the kid to look through. "I can't see, it's all smudgy," says the child. So one of the child's parents scoops up the screamer in question and puts them standing on top of the not transparent and thick wall, keeping people out of the penguin enclosure. Mind you, this is an open-air exhibit, but the tank itself is larger than what people can see. It's sunk into the floor and covers a pretty large area. There's maybe a 2-meter drop from the top of the wall down to where the penguins are. The stupidity I witnessed? The parent who had scooped the child up plopped the child down on their feet on the wall, and then turned to talk to who was presumably the other parent without having a hand on the child. 3 guesses what happened within seconds of turning to talk? I was already watching because the sounds of righteous indignation at having to view feathery flightless fjordlands through smudgy plexiglass, and I saw the child being placed on the 18-centimeter thick wall. I saw the hands drop and the head turn. I saw the kid lean closer to get a better look at the penguins. I saw the balance starting to go, the arms flare out and the wobble, and then I saw the wobble become a fall in the direction of the penguins. There was a scream and then a loud splash and then silence in that area of the aquarium while everyone rubbernecked to see what had just happened. Happily enough, the child landed in a deep part of the pool and was able to float well enough on their own to start, understandably, shrieking in terror. I cannot imagine how it would have gone if they'd landed on the large rocks in the enclosure. I also heard the one parent go, "Oh crap," in the sudden stunned silence. I'm guessing this isn't the first time this has happened, as the aquarium staff's response was swift and practiced, but not a hint of panic. Someone in a wetsuit appeared within seconds and scooped the child up. From what I could see, the kid was fine, just very shaken up from the experience. The parents, faces beet red, sprinted off I know not where, not making a sound. Some people, man. Well, at least the enclosure they fell into was penguins. Not very likely to have a Harambe moment near a bunch of tuxedo birds. Shoot, I'm glad the kid cannonballed it and crushed a penguin. 2Cat Crazy Lady wrote, "It may have happened before, but they probably also run drills for it because, well, people are dumb." OP responded saying, "Yeah, at the risk of identifying the aquarium I was at, there was an announcement in the penguin area every 15 minutes. Do not put your crap on the wall. If it falls, you're not getting it back." This is paraphrased but conveys the intent. Our next story is, how do you deal with a parent who constantly questions everything you did and never lets you feel like you can make your own decisions? I've always struggled to make decisions sometimes, even having almost full-blown panic attacks when I had to make something really big. As an adult, I've discovered that one of the main reasons I struggle stems from the fact that my mother never let me make my own decisions, or she would question literally anything I do. I started lifting weights for fun, and recently started training to compete. Anytime she contacts me, and if I'm on my way to the gym, she'll be like, "Why are you going to the gym? Weren't you just at the gym? Do you really need to work out so much? Is that even good for your body?" She'll even comment on the amount of protein I consume despite the fact that I've been doing this for 3 years. Even something as simple as going to the store needs to be scrutinized. Me trying to leave, mom saying, "Where are you going?" I tell her, "Just out." She says, "Out where?" "The store." She says, "What store?" I give the store name and am about to leave again. "Why do you need to go to the store?" I say, "To get some stuff." "What stuff?" I tell her, "I don't have time to stand here and list all the things I need to get." She says, "Well, how long are you going to be gone?" I tell her, "I don't know." She says, "You don't know?" I give an arbitrary time and she says, "Do you think it's a good idea to go to the store right now?" And I've now fully checked out. I've almost missed out on great job and career opportunities because she had to throw her 2 cents in and made me question myself. And even if she doesn't outright question me, she'll make a comment that makes me question myself. Like, I got a job offer that had me in Europe for a year. Great money, my housing was fully paid, and I got per diem for food. Before I left, she kept asking me if I really wanted to go. And when I finally said yes, she was like, "Okay, you're an adult. You can make your own decisions." Really? Because it doesn't feel like it. Feels like you're trying to guilt me for daring to be my own person. The only time she doesn't do it, or rather can't, is when I'm at a family function. If she starts her long line of questioning, someone will step in and say something to the degree of, "Can you just let her do her thing? She's a full-grown woman." Well, I'm glad at least at the family function somebody's willing to step in for OP and stand up for them. I think that's a recipe for success for OP to adopt for themselves. I think I would be so exhausted having to be around a family member that wants to know every little thing you're doing for any possible reason at any possible time. I just want to get some more sliced bread in 5 minutes at the local store. I'd rip my hair out if I had to play 21 questions every time I wanted to leave the house. Vegetable Cod 2340 wrote, "OP, you need to put her on an informational diet. If she's abusing the having your location, turn it off and stop with the phone calls. Switch to text, and even then, don't answer her immediately. Always wait at least 30 minutes before you answer. You also need to know that every text she'll send doesn't need an answer. Sometimes you just need to give a thumbs up or an okay to let them know you saw it." I would also start therapy. You can learn more coping mechanisms for dealing with them. My mother would do the same, so I just started doing things and letting her know after the fact, if I let her know at all. Our next story is, told my narcissistic foster mother I'm pregnant with twins. As suggested, I informed my extended family in the group chat that we're expecting twins. After the miscarriage I had last year, I am more than excited. We're already planning to buy a new car, make more bedrooms, etc. And this jerk's reaction? "Yeah, and how come there's no photos of me and your dad on Facebook? I just noticed and that's not okay. Look at these elephants, even having them to work." Bench doesn't work, she's on her phone all day. I work my butt off even if I'm pregnant. Anyways, how many months now then? Nice pointy noses like their dad. "Oh, it's been so difficult for me here. Retirement isn't easy. Why the freak do I even bother?" I told this new in the family group chat. It was my foster dad at first who replied with congratulations, then she said it was her using his phone to write. Bull. Just pure bullcrap, and I'm raging now at the entitlement of this jerk. Update, I asked what the heck she meant by that. She said it's because on my Facebook, there's photos of me, but none of her. Is she freaking serious right now? I am having freaking twins. It's more important, and scary to be honest with you all now, than her having her freaking fame on my Facebook, idiot. I think now's a really good time to adjust your expectations of what this person is ever going to give you in regards to interest or focus on your life. You break this huge news and they say, "Yeah, by the way, why are there no pictures of me on your Facebook?" As if it's too important of a topic to put aside to recognize and acknowledge that OP just said they're having twins, especially after what OP said they went through prior to this. Shoddy N655 wrote, "When I told my mother I was expecting my first, granted I was young but job and home secure, she looked at me with icy eyes and said, 'Well, that didn't take long,' and got up and left our house. When I had a miscarriage, she sent me a card that said, 'Well, that's a good thing. You don't need any more kids.' Me and my poor husband put up with her crap for way too long. Some people are just so broken inside they can't find joy in anything. Happiness eludes them, and anyone else's happiness irritates the crap out of them. I'm sorry you're having to deal with this, but I find joy in your future twins. How very wonderful. It will be hard, but so worth it. Much love to you from a grandma." Our next story is, aunt-in-law and husband's cousin are visiting our house and hinting him to get her a brand new phone. So my husband's family monetary dynamics are weird and some things may have you questioning what? But I'll keep it short for this story. My husband already pays the loan EMI for aunt's apartment, funds his cousin's 18-year-old female education, bought her a laptop 2 years ago, and gave her a phone for studying during COVID 4 years ago. Now they're visiting our place and acting more entitled than ever. Right after we received them at the airport, cousin started complaining about how she wanted to click beautiful pictures of the city at night, but her camera isn't working well anymore, and aunt joined in and said, "Yeah, her phone is totally ruined." Cousin has been mentioning how bad the phone is every day since, and yesterday her father pointed towards Google Pixel 8 ad on screen and casually said, "This looks like a great phone, what features does it have?" They're getting more aggressive at hinting with each passing day. I mean, I would just hope that he would be able to identify that there's a helping out and then there's a clearly trying to take advantage of him. I'm sorry, but your desire to take beautiful pictures during the nighttime is not like a necessity for you to get a brand new phone when surely in every other way your phone's working perfectly fine. But my phone doesn't have X-ray vision like the new model has. My phone's really falling apart. In 2024, just about anybody's holding onto their smartphone for a way longer than they used to, especially when it's a handout. Get used to it. Bruzman wrote, "Tell your hubby to grow a shiny spine and cut them off your life." Mistiff1971 added, "The response is simple. When they whine and ask for things, ask them straight up when they are buying whatever it is that they want. When they complain they can't afford it, ask them how they're going to earn money. Tell them straight up because you're still waiting to be repaid all the funds they currently owe you for the apartment and cousin's education. If your husband is funding this apartment, I hope it's his name only on the deed." This next story is, my mom actually freaked out that I wasn't able to give her a ride. I'm in the process of recovering from illness. My mom kept waking me up because she wanted a ride to the mall. I kept falling asleep because I'm sick. Eventually, I woke up. I was going to give her a ride just so she'd shut the freak up. Anyway, it was too late since she had to make it there by 1 p.m., but my mom completely freaked out and said she had no one, and that I deserve nothing and that I can't expect anything from her. Her tire was flat. Me and my uncle urged her for months to get it fixed. She's been entitled for a while. When my father was alive, she was discussing with him that she refuses to drive anything besides her Mercedes. I remember after he got evicted, we moved to a cheaper neighborhood. It was just fine. No violence or anything like that, and she insisted it was the ghetto. It wasn't. It's what's considered a moderate income neighborhood. Is it just me or is my mother entitled as heck? I really can't bring myself to love her in the least bit after she gave me such an issue over not giving her a ride to the mall. Then at the mall she was freaking out because my sister didn't want her to get her makeup or hair done for the prom. She kept telling me her hair looked mid and that she didn't like how she looked. What is wrong with my mother? She also compared my social work job, which is very high stress, to working as a telemarketer. She says I don't know stress when she whined over my father not getting her a Mercedes until he did. Thoughts? She sounds like the kind of person that once you're capable of supporting yourself and you move away, you are very glad you don't have to deal with her again. Either that or you move away and then you start having to entertain those phone calls until you finally realize that ain't worth it either. I Am Heckcat wrote, "Your mother sounds like the kind of miserable human who likes to bring the other people around her down, regardless of how it affects others or reflects on herself. A crab in the bucket, if you will. You're absolutely right to be frustrated by this, and you responded better than I would have." OP responded saying, "I was very mean and condescending in response, but I'm so over her BS." But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another absolutely crazy entitled parent story, check out that video on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.